Inchara, first time com. My topic is why cannot be 1 Indian rupee is equal to 1 US dollar. Firstly, I give introduction about this topic. The Indian rupee has been battling and facing turmoil against the dollar since more than 2 decades now. Despite the changing monetary rules and policies, the Indian currency has been facing a downfall when compared to the dollars. The debate of USD versus Indian rupee is never ending, despite all the changes they try to make in the financial issues of the country. This issue is becoming a problematic for all the people who go on regular foreign exchange transactions for their travel purposes. If you are among those who frequently use forex online for your travels, it is essential to know the reasons for the rupee falling. Next to reasons, so global economic slowdown. The global economic slowdown is on major factor contributing to both the stock markets and the Indian currency fall. The Indian rupee falling due to the slowdown and has been unable to regain its value. Hence, the conversion from USD to INR always makes for a loss. The rupee value against the US dollar has always been a disappointment due to the global economic slowdown, causing abrupt losses to some of the businessmen. An economic slowdown occurs when the rate of economic growth slows in an economy. Countries usually measures economic growth in terms of gross domestic product, which is the total value of goods and services produced in an economic during a specific period of time. Second one, crude oil prices. The decisions by the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries, also known as OAPEC, to reduce the production and the decisions taken by Persian Gulf nations to double the price of the crude oil led India to borrow the foreign currency. India had to borrow foreign currency. India had to borrow foreign currency. India had to borrow foreign currency that lead to another reason so why is the rupee falling. In spite of being one of the strongest financial countries in the world, India falls in the short effective plans that will show difference in the country's economic status. The US is the biggest importer of crude oil. When the crude oil prices go down, the US saves more dollars in buying it. This strengthens the dollar, and that leads to another reasons why the rupee is falling against the dollar. Next, third one point, India's trade deficit. It means the global economic slowdown paired with the deficit in trade is a deadly combination that is paving way for the fall in the current rupee value against the US dollar. Without any smart plans that will strengthen the roots of the Indian rupee, the value of rupee against dollar will be facing problems forever. Next to FIIS and DIIS. FIIS ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನಲ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟು okay. Foreign institutional investors have been in the sell off mode in the equity segment for the past 3 months and sold up to rupees 7.146 crores. On the other hand, the domestic institutional investors ಅಂತಂದರೆ DIIS net buying stood at rupees 9.29 crores during the same period. Since the buying being more than the selling, the Indian rupee depreciate. Next one, persistent inflation. The exchange rate largely depends on the inflation rate of the country. The constant turmoil in the fall of the value of rupee against the US dollar creates multiple issues in the economy of the country, making it a thing to worry about. Next one point, current account deficit. It means the eurozone has been historically one of India's major trading partners. The rising current account deficit has depleted our foreign exchange reserves and thus led to a fall in the value of the Indian rupee. There, there should be regular trade activities to safeguard the current accounts of the country and reduce the deficits as much as possible. Next one point, lack of fund in the hands of the government. In the situation of the wealth crunch, Prime Minister Nehru adopted the model of 5-year plans from Russia between 1950 century to 1960 centuries. Indian government continuously borrowed foreign money in the form of loan. Next, another one point, war with China and Pakistan. Indian government was facing budget deficit and was in a state that it could not borrow more additional loan from outside due to the negative rate of savings. India and China War of 1962, Indo-Pakistan War of 1965 and huge drought in 1966 crippled the production capacity of the Indian economy. So inflation increased in the economy. Next one, political instability in oil shock of 1973. Oil shock of 1973 caused when the Organization of Arab Petroleum exporting countries decided to cut the crude oil production, which further increased the oil import bill. So to pay this import bill, India borrowed foreign currency assistance of Indira currency. Next one, economic crisis of 1991. It is claimed as the toughest time for Indian economy. During this phase, fiscal deficit was 7.8% of GDP. Interest payment was eating 39% of the total revenue collections of the government. Current account deficit was 3.69% of GDP and WPI inflation was hovering around the 14%. India was about to declare difficulty by the international community. Next, other reasons. Experts are saying that the value of Indian rupee has not depreciated, but in fact of the value of dollar has appreciated due to the expectations against the US that US Federal Bank might increase the interest rates. So next, conclusion. These are the prominent reasons why the Indian rupee is falling against the US dollar. It is important for all frequent travelers to be aware of these factors and make a wise decisions when converting from uh, USD to INR without incurring a heavy loss. However, on the other hand, the debate of INR versus USD will keep escalating depending on the issues that will be coming up in the near future. Devaluation of currency makes export cheaper and import costlier, which ultimately improves the balance of payment of the domestic country. Thank you.